One has to be at peace on the inside to effectively go to war on the outside. Now, my last vlog, I kind of took you through a bit of a breakdown. It wasn't like a full breakdown for me, like I probably would never put that on camera. But it was, me in a bit of a delicate and fragile sort of state of mind. But, I want to tell you about what happened pretty much straight after that. That day I was going through a really bad day. I glossed over it. I had a really sore back. I didn't have enough sleep. And just everything, like all the exterior stuff I'd been stressing about, just kind of, if you watch the Gabby show, you kind of see how she says, like, sometimes it's just that tiny little thing that can cause you to just collapse. And that was pretty much what it was. It was just all this other stuff that had been going on. It just kind of manifested, and then one little thing, like not having enough sleep, just kind of caused me to, Anyway, long story short, I had a shit day, and I filmed that on Friday. Can't remember what day I actually uploaded it on. Either way, but thank you for everyone who has supported me so far, particularly a lot of family and friends, which I think I was so surprised, but thank you. Particularly friends. Awesome, good job, guys. Thank you. Anyway, this is kind of like, I'm going to explain to you what happened after. I had my training session with my amazing PT that day. Now, I only do training with him once a week. I was doing twice, but due to financial reasons, I had to kind of skimp back and go only once. And I think what has happened in my life is after 3 months, it's close to 3 months because next week is my 3-monthly weigh-in, I became addicted to exercise. Maybe not addicted, but I've created a habit. So now my day doesn't feel right if I don't exercise. And because I was doing twice a week for a couple of weeks, I kind of got it in my head and my body that's like, oh, you get 2 days to like unleash with Lucas, my trainer, but I went back to 1, and so my body was like, what the hell, you haven't got that outlet. Because I do yoga, I go for walks, I do some stuff at home, but what he does with me is vicious and brutal, and it's, and because I'm doing MMA training, I'm physically, mentally, and emotionally putting so much into my training. So I gotta think, because I gotta coordinate, and it's new skills. And then I'm tired and my body is exhausted, but I'm like continuing, and I have to emotionally push everything out to get past those barriers and get those second wins and break through that, like that wall that I want to, just lie there and not move after the first 10 minutes. But yeah, so when I went to my session, I was in a bad mood. I think Lucas pretty much put that up. He could see. So I don't know whether he had planned his session or what he was going to do prior, or if he just kind of went at that time, this is what this girl needs. But he totally read me. It was awesome. He taught me how to do some wrestling stuff, which was really cool, because I've gone from just mainly doing striking, and then I was doing wrestling, and then on ground and pounds and stuff like that, and I got all this frustration out. And literally, I feel in every trial and tribulation that I face, I learn something new about myself. And then I had the hardest session. This is like a session I wanted to cancel because I was sore and I was tired and I was getting sick. I had the most brutal session I'd ever done, and it was the hardest one I'd ever done, and I survived. Woo! Anyway, after the session, the last activity was doing like knees onto the bag, like having a grapple bag on the floor and just kneeing it, which was really physically exhausting after everything I did. So after, the gym was pretty empty and I was just lying on the mat, just like, somebody save me. But I felt so good, and I felt so relieved, and I felt so, I could take on the world. And I realized that, yeah, I didn't feel right if I didn't exercise each day or do something physical. And now I want to get more adventurous and go out there and do more things, and it's really inspired me how that feeling of getting through that hard day and just full on just embracing it and loving it. It was so good. Yeah. So no matter what life throws at you, you have to just pick yourself up. And as much as you might not want to do something, you never know how you're going to feel afterwards. You know, when you push through those limitations that you set for yourself, you actually learn something about yourself. And I feel like on this 3 months so far, I've learned so much about who I am and what I need to do to effectively train, to effectively look after myself. And punishment never works for me. You know, if I berate myself, if I am brutal with myself, I never get anything done. I have set myself goals. Often, my whole idea about setting goals is when I don't do them, when I fail them, or I don't meet them, I get disheartened. But this time, I've kind of tried to think about different ways to approach and look at different ways to approach goal setting. And I listened to the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. I recommend that podcast to anybody because it's absolutely fabulous. He interviews so many different people. Even Talk is Jericho as well, but Stone Cold Steve Austin. He interviewed Alan Bishop, who runs a lot of the challenges for Broken Skull Challenge, who writes all the challenges, is the challenge director. And he does this is like his job. He's like challenging people. And he's a phenomenal like athlete. He's very disciplined, very motivated, and he's very like orientated. And you know, he's just, life has been his teacher and he's worked super duper hard to get where he is. And he talked about setting small, smart, attainable goals. And that's what I've been doing. I did last week. I set some very small goals, like one, exercise every day, drink a full bottle of water because I'd been struggling with my water. Stay within your calorie range at least 6 days a week. Do DDP yoga 3 times a week. And just kind of little goals like that. And when I met my goals for the week, I felt awesome. So this week I decided to do the same thing. Very same goals. They're actually pretty much the same goals. I've decided to not drink coffee past 1 p.m. because I was finding it was messing with my sleep. And actually, it's true. I took that out and my sleep's a lot better. And just doing little goals like that. And then each day I just like tick next to it. Every time I achieve something, go tick. And upping my water each week to make sure I'm drinking enough and I'm hydrating myself. Because I found after my PT sessions, I was not properly hydrated because I was already dehydrated walking in. And then I wasn't able to replenish because I sweat a lot. The fitter I get, the more I sweat. So I figured and I found out about myself, the harder I am on myself, the more unattainable things are to me. The more I look after myself and I nurture myself and I'm positive with myself and I'm still tough on myself. Like, I'm like, come on girl, get up. But if I treat things in a negative way, so it's like this shaming. It's like when it's like, oh, you know, I'm going to shame people to lose weight. You know, some people, that works for them, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't at all. The more I shame myself, the less I want to get out of bed and get out of the house. The more I'm anxious and everything. So, you know, life doesn't have to be complicated. You know, sometimes you just have to get back to yourself and understand yourself. And that brings me back to the quote I started this vlog with, to be, when you're at peace on the inside, like you have to be at peace on the inside to effectively go to war on the outside. And as you can tell today, I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week. I did have a little mini breakdown the other day. It happens. Sometimes you gotta have a breakdown because I figured that, you know, when you have scar tissue, it makes that skin stronger. It's harder to break. So if you break down, you just gotta build yourself back up because only you know how to really get into your own head. And I feel sometimes a lot of people, like the whole concept of finding yourself and doing the other thing, it's not bullshit. You gotta figure out what triggers you, what works for you, and how you function before you can really actively set out and figure out what you want to do. If you're in your life and you're doing something you hate, you're not going to be happy. if you are punishing yourself and being harsh on yourself and that's not how you work, then you're never going to get to where you want to do. You're just going to fall back into old patterns. You know, they say it's like 26 days to break a habit. Well, I've made exercise a habit before. It's not that I don't like exercise, but I'm one of these people that takes forever to do something. I'm like, I'll do it later. Procrastinator. Or I'm scared. So, like, to me, I'm actually looking up going on bushwalks. Anyone, like, if you ask my mom, if I told my mom that I'm looking up the bushwalks around my area that I can go on, she would have laughed in your face because that's not me. But I want to do it, you know, and I just want to get back into peace in my head. So yeah, that's the kind of journey I'm at. This is where I'm at the moment. You know, some days I'm making smoothie bowls and doing yoga and I feel like one of those Instagram models. Other days I'm beating living hell out of something because I've just got so much anger and frustration in with me. But, you know, each day I wake up and I figure out what it is that I need in my life for that day. And tomorrow and this weekend I'm setting out on a new journey. I'm not going to talk much about it because it's still in the little bit of the works and I don't want to jinx anything. But, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how everything goes. And also next week, my next vlog, I'll update you on my like progress in my like weights and all that shit. All the stuff that's not super important, but I think it's interesting to find because, you know, the reason I'm trying to lose weight is so if I do get to the point where I can step in the cage and fight, I can make weight. So that's pretty much it. I'm all about functionality, not about physicality. Whew, no aesthetics here. But yeah, so yeah, that's my vlog today. I will probably upload another one soon. I've also going to be starting a blog and I will link that in the description below. I will also add my Instagram and my Twitter and everything. At the moment I'm running everything by my mobile phone, so sometimes I forget to do things. I'm filming this on my iPhone. But yeah, so if you want to keep updated with my journey, I'll add in my Instagram, my Tumblr, because I'm one of those girls. Look, I got purple hair. Of course I do Tumblr. And Twitter. And my new blog, like actual blog where I'm going to write and try and be funny. But yeah, you have yourself a very odd day. It's a very beautiful day out here in Melbourne for once. Actually, it's been a pretty nice week, except yesterday. But anyway, take care, have a good weekend, and live life for yourself.